r/IDontWorkHereLady. Got yelled at for wanting chips. I'm posting this now, as it's fresh and I'm still in shock that it happened. I've been mistaken for an employee at many various times in my life, and a few of those times have been worse than this, but this one ranks pretty high on my WTF list. About an hour ago, I snagged a ride to the gas station near my house because I was hit with a pregnancy craving for chips. Uneventful 5-ish minute ride, and got a particularly nice Uber driver who said to take my time. She was marking me dropped off so I would only be charged for part of the ride and she'd take me home free of charge. So the adventure started off nice. Go inside gas station and am standing in front of the chips, trying to decide how many bags I can buy without my husband getting miffed at me spending too much money. Don't worry, he doesn't actually get mad. I probably look like I'm carrying twins, because this child is already well above average size, lucky me, so I know I take up a good chunk of real estate wherever I'm standing. After a minute or two, I hear someone clearing their throat. I automatically figure I'm in the way, so I say excuse me and step back to let what I now see to be a 40-something-year-old woman. Again, let me remind y'all we're in a gas station. Not a supermarket or any sort of store where you'd think to see employees in the aisles. Heck, there really aren't many aisles. Anyway, she doesn't walk by, so I started to move to the end of the aisle, figure she didn't have enough room to comfortably get by. But is it ever that easy? She stepped forward and asked where I was going. I replied I was moving out of her way, to which she responds with saying I can't just walk away, she needed help. That stumped me. Help as in? So I asked just that. She fires back with I've seen spicy lime lays here before, so I want to know when you'll get more, or if they're in a different spot. Now I realize what's going on. I tell her I don't work there, but apparently that wasn't the correct answer. Instead of an "oh I'm sorry" or even just a rude stomping away, she says I've seen you here before. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you can't help a customer. Obviously she was going to stick with that, so I just walked back, grabbed a few bags of chips and walked to the next aisle to see if I wanted anything else. I heard a few excuse me's after that but just ignored her. Paid, waddled outside. However, much like late-night TV during the 90s, but wait, there's more. I don't know if this woman wasn't willing to admit she was wrong, or seriously thought she wasn't wrong, but she decided the obviously next appropriate action was to follow me out. I went to open the car door and this squawking loca puts her hand on the car door, making to shut it. Proceeds to tell me I can't just walk away from a customer asking a question. If you're wondering where the actual clerk is. Well, so was I at this point. I honestly could not believe this was happening. Hell, I still can't believe it happened. Thankfully, like I mentioned, I'd gotten a pretty awesome Uber driver. She popped out of the car and asked if I was okay. Karen shoots off that she wasn't talking to her, but before I could say anything else, driver says, "Well, now you're talking to me. Get the hell away from her and my car before I come over there and slap you so hard, you won't remember how to talk." I'm not entirely sure if that made Karen realize I wasn't an employee or if it just scared her enough to make her find a different employee, but she hustled to a vehicle a few spots over and got in her car. I got back in the Uber and we watched her leave. Guess she forgot about her chips. After making sure I was alright, the Uber driver and I had a pretty good laugh on the way back to my house. She still wouldn't even accept a tip from me, but I sneakily tipped her in the app after she drove off so she couldn't argue. Honestly, I'm waiting for people to show up so everyone claps, because I still can't fully believe that this event happened. Especially at a gas station convenience store, and not even a big one. It wasn't even the size of a 7-Eleven. So what in the world made her assume a woman in a sundress? The employees of this chain of stations wore a turquoise polo, who just so happened to be standing in front of the chips, was an employee. And why continue bullheading forward after being told I don't work there, then not just walking away, but purchasing items and leaving the store? Times like this, I am truly stumped as to these people's thought process. Part of me really wants to know what they're thinking that leads them to this insane behavior, but the other part of me knows I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. At least I got my chips. Next story. I wish I worked in a Japanese store. It was my birthday yesterday and a good friend of mine and I were at my local mall for a fun shopping day cause I want to splurge on myself since I'm getting old and it comes once a year. My city's mall would sometimes change stores every month, or two. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. I miss some of the stores we used to have. One store that had just opened is a Japanese product store. I used to get a box every month that contained a lot of cute things from Japan. Most of it was anime, some were games, and the rest were like simple little items. Hey, I'm a nerd. A fat, beautiful nerd lol. The store that opened had almost every stuff from the box I used to get, but a lot more. It had a lot of things like storages, plushies, snacks, etc. I loved it all and my friend had a hard time getting my butt out of the store. One thing about me is that I sometimes like to clean a bit. Mainly rearrange items on shelves. So as we go through countless aisles, I kinda messed with a few plushies and items to both look at and move them so they're stacked perfectly. I have a bit of OCD in me so it shows at times. And it's also something I'm thinking about that might have started it. The one thing that's slightly irritating about the store is that some products didn't have prices on them. Not sure if the employees forgot to get all of them checked, or decided to let the customers bring up the item for them to check the pricing. Oh well lol. So as I was walking around checking another area that had some very cute Bluetooth keyboards, too bad I can't use them, a man came up to me holding up a pink plushie. He was nice to ask, "Does this have a price on it?" Honestly, when he asked, I did thought he wondered if I worked there, but seeing as though that I had the same problem, I replied back, "We were wondering that the same thing for the plushies on that side," while gesturing to the back wall full of Disney plushies. He must have thought I did work there cause I was also holding a plush I got from a game store that was in the mall recently, and was tidying up some of the shelves out of habit. He immediately started to apologize, explaining how he thought I worked there. I chuckled and told him not to worry at all. We were both chuckling awkwardly while walking away slightly embarrassed. My friend and I were quietly whispering how funny it was. Not to be rude at all since we would have those moments, too. Then I thought, hey, I love this store. I will gladly take it as a compliment. We both laughed and she agreed wholeheartedly about that. Even said that she happily take that compliment as well when she got confused as a worker at her favorite store. Granted, she had the look of "can I help you" with a side of a lovable goofball. And that's what happened yesterday. Hope you enjoyed and have a good, safe weekend. Next story. Got honorary employee of the month but never worked there. I've lived across the street from the same grocery store for the last 11 years. I know where everything is. Except the back, that still eludes me. The staff and managers all know me. I'm there 4 to 5 times a week. My neighborhood is filled with discounted housing for the elderly, so there are a lot of people with canes, me too, but I'm 25 years younger than most of them, walkers, scooters, family members helping them walk through, you name it. I've never had a Karen thing there or anything similar, but I'm often mistaken for an employee, cause I have a tendency to reshelve things I've found in the wrong place that have been callously left wherever, so I don't dissuade them of that, I just direct them to their item or wander the aisles until we find it. I've met so many wonderful people and heard so many amazing stories. In May they presented me with Honorary Employee of the Month and a $100 gift card. When asked if I would use it for charity, I replied, hell no. I'm gonna finally try out those crab cakes at the deli. Brought the house down. I love my neighborhood. Next story. Old man mistakes me for his nurse. His happened about a year ago. It's not really an aggravating story, but still a good one, I think. I'm currently in my apprenticeship as an IT expert in a company that builds anything regarding networks. Telephone systems, safety cameras, data centers, Windows domains, firewalls, nurse call, you call it, we make it. Most of our customers are medical facilities of some sort, mainly rest homes for old people. And during my apprenticeship, I'm supposed to work with the other departments of our company to get a feeling for what we do. That time, I was working in a rest home for old people, replacing their out-of-date fire alarm system. Most of the time when we do work like this, the places aren't closed, so we naturally come into contact with the nurses, or their residents. This time, the nurses and other staff of the place were extremely friendly to us. They offered us a room in the basement to store our stuff, another room with couches and furnished like your old people living room for breaks, and even allowed us to get to their canteen and get food for free, at lunchtime. We got the same food the residents got and usually took our meals to the living room that was provided to us. One day, as I was standing in line to get my food, one of their residents approached me, with an expression somewhere between "please, help me," and "where am I?" I have some experience with dementia and Alzheimer and could tell that this guy had something in that spectrum, just from the look he gave me. As he came into reach, he grabbed my arm with a strength you'd not expect from a man of his age and began to hastily tell me to bring him to his car. He kept going, saying that he was told to eat his meal before someone picks him up and get him home. For a moment, I was just as confused as he was, given I was clearly wearing my work pants and even the jacket with the name of our company. Then I remembered some stories my sister told me, who's coincidentally working as a nurse for dementia patients. I kept calm and put my plate away, turning to the old man and made my biggest mistake of that day. I tried to explain to him that I'm just a technician and that he should get one of the nurses. Of course, he was too far away to understand what I'm saying and kept asking me about the car that's supposed to get him and that I should bring him there. We kept going back and forth like this for a moment, until another resident, an old lady with all her mental capacity intact, approached us and handled the situation much better than I did. She began asking him about the meal he mentioned, taking his hand and leading him back to where he came from. I didn't see how their situation ended, but from how she managed him, I guess it was much better than my experience.